"You're not supposed to fall in love with a stand-in," he had said with a smile. Funny, coming from the one who taught me what love was, only to break me when I believed it was real. The ink hadn't even dried on our 6-month marriage contract when his ex walked back into our lives like she owned it. I should have known then I was never meant to stay. It started with a signature. Clean, cold, and calculated. "You're perfect," Theo had said. Eyes not meeting mine, flipping through the final page of the agreement. "You'll do." I was desperate, an Omega orphan clawing for rent and crumbs in Manhattan, and he was every alpha dream incarnate. Wealthy, powerful, impossibly beautiful. He needed a temporary spouse for his inheritance deal. I needed a roof and a name on a mailbox. We both got what we wanted, except I gave him more than he bargained for. The days with Theo were quiet, structured. Breakfasts with perfect eggs, silent elevator rides, shared calendars. I learned to breathe by his side, even if he rarely looked up from his phone. But there were moments, fleeting ones, where he'd pause mid-call just to watch me stir my coffee, or rest his hand on my lower back when guiding me through gala crowds. I lived for those moments, and then I made the mistake of falling. We were 6 weeks into the contract when I realized I wanted more. 10 weeks when he kissed me not because of cameras or tabloids, but because we were alone on the balcony and I had laughed too loud. 12 weeks when I let him take me to bed. 15 weeks when I knew I was pregnant. I stared at the test for 10 minutes, then stared at the man I shared a penthouse with. He was on a business call. Always on a business call. I swallowed the truth and smiled through dinner, because he never asked for this. Never asked for me. And then she returned. Elena. Golden hair, green eyes. The woman from his past who'd left him shattered and soulless, or so the tabloids had claimed. She came back like a storm, unapologetic and poised, dropping kisses on his cheeks like she'd never left. I was introduced as a friend. The word made me taste iron. For 3 days I watched them. I watched him change, soften, smile, hope. He tried to keep me close, perhaps out of obligation, but I knew the space between us had turned into a canyon. I didn't belong there anymore, and our contract had only 2 weeks left. I packed my bag on a Wednesday, a quiet morning when he was at meetings and the city outside was too loud for heartbreak. I folded the contract and slipped it between the pages of the Hemingway book he'd once lent me. I left no note, but I took the baby, because that was mine. Small towns in upstate New York don't ask many questions. A friend helped me find a quiet apartment above a bakery. I took a job, changed my name, learned to smile again. The pregnancy was difficult, but he was the reason I got up each day. A little boy with Theo's eyes and my mess of hair born on a cold December morning that felt like the start of something sacred. I didn't tell Theo, not out of spite, out of mercy, because he looked happy in the pictures. Him and Elena. Their engagement was on the cover of Vogue's winter edition. Love had left me behind, and I had made peace with that, until he showed up at my door. Rain-soaked, trembling, eyes wide as if seeing a ghost. "I've been looking for you," he said. His voice cracked like the sky behind him. I didn't say a word, just stepped aside to let him in. His eyes found the tiny socks on the floor first, then the framed photo on the wall, me holding a newborn, red-eyed and grinning like a fool. His breath hitched. "You left," he whispered. "You let me," I answered. Silence. Then, "Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think you'd want to know." I needed to know. The baby stirred in the bedroom. I moved to check on him, but Theo's hand caught mine. Warm, desperate. "Please, let me see him." I hesitated, then nodded. He walked in slowly, as if afraid the moment would vanish if he moved too fast. He stood over the crib, a tower of shaking limbs and ragged breath. "Our son," he murmured, and for the first time in months, I saw tears in Theo Montgomery's eyes. We talked for hours that night, about what was real, what wasn't, what he wished he'd done differently. He and Elena had broken up months ago, quietly, painfully. He said he'd realized, too late, that love wasn't something you reclaimed from the past. It was something you built, every day, with someone willing to stay even when it got ugly. "I tried to find you," he said, fingers tangled in mine. Everywhere. I was going insane. You were supposed to move on. I was supposed to love you better. The words knocked the breath out of me. It didn't fix everything, but it cracked something open. Over the next weeks, he came by often. Never pushing, just helping. Groceries, diaper runs, quiet nights on the couch, our son asleep between us. We started again, not as contract partners, but as two broken men trying to believe we deserved happiness. It wasn't perfect. Love never is. But there was laughter again, shared glances, forehead kisses, hope. And on a spring morning, standing under the cherry blossoms outside the bakery, Theo dropped to one knee. No contract. No conditions, just a question. I said yes, because this time it was real. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.